Good morning, Crossroads. I hope you're doing well wherever and whenever you're watching this. If you don't know me, my name is Andrew, and I'm at our Eldersburg campus. And I'm just excited that you tuned in this morning. If you're watching this when it first came out or later, I'm just happy that you're here. We're going to look at a passage in Leviticus today, and it's Leviticus chapter 19. And verse 18 says this: "Do not seek revenge or bear grudges against anyone among your people, but love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord." As I was reading this verse, one of the things that stuck out to me is that it says, "Do not seek revenge." I think that concept is crazy because I think sometimes I seek revenge without even knowing I'm seeking revenge. I just am trying to get even, or I'm just trying to be justified and to seek justice. And in doing so, I'm not seeking justice. I'm actually seeking revenge. And one time, I'm going to tell you a very embarrassing story, but I feel like we're close enough now that I can do that. A very embarrassing story. When I was like 18 or 19 years old, I was a waiter. And this particular day, I was not having a great day. And I was a waiter at a retirement home for predominantly older retired people. It was assisted living, and so it wasn't a nursing home, but it was a retirement home, and it was sometimes frustrating, to say the least, on certain days being a waiter for that kind of place. And great people, but everyone has their good and bad days. And so one of these days, there was a lady that came in. And it was early in the morning, and she would always come in when we were pretty much done serving breakfast. We had pretty much cleaned up everything. Pretty much everyone was out of the dining room. A few people were finishing up, but we were like ready to go on break, and she would come in right at the tail end. And it was always frustrating when that happens. If you've been a waiter or waitress, you understand that feeling. And she came in, and long story short, she came over, waved me over, and she was irate because there was no tea on her table. And she's like, "There's never any tea here." And I looked and I said, "Ma'am, here's the tea." And I reached it from where it was hiding behind something else, and I set it down. And she quickly shuffled through it and she said, "No, I meant there's no decaf tea on this table." And I got so angry because of this little silly interaction that I said, "No problem, I'll go get you a decaf tea bag." And I went back to the kitchen and I sought revenge. And I pulled a decaf tea bag out, and I pulled it out of its sleeve, and I put a caffeinated tea bag inside the decaf sleeve, and I walked it back, and I handed it to her, and she said, "Thank you, that's better." And I smiled and said, "You are welcome." And to this day, that's a little silly story that I look back on, and obviously I regret. It was a petty thing to do, but that's a small way that we as people can sometimes just seek revenge. And here, the Bible is saying, "Do not seek revenge or bear a grudge against anyone among your people, but love your neighbor as yourself." Love your neighbor as yourself. Imagine if we didn't seek revenge. Imagine if we didn't hold grudges. Imagine if we actually loved people as ourselves. If I loved people as much as I loved myself. If I sought other people's needs as quickly as I seek my own needs. Imagine what that would look like. I think sometimes I believe that I love people, and I believe that I love my neighbor as myself, but then I catch myself really only tolerating people. I don't mind driving with other people until they cut me off. I don't mind driving with other people until they go slow. And then I get irritated. Never do I think, I wonder what they're going through right now. Imagine if I loved people on the road like I love myself. If I cared for their needs as much as I cared for where I need to go. And that's just a small aspect that we can look and examine. Am I really loving people like I love myself? Or have I slipped into this, well, I tolerate people as long as I agree with them. But here God is calling us to something so much greater. He's calling us to be different. He's calling us to look beyond ourselves and actually love people and put people first. It's crazy and it's radical and it's against what culture teaches today. Culture today says you do you. Look out for you. You're number one. Live your truth. But here, the scripture's saying no. Don't seek revenge. Don't hold grudges. Love your neighbor as yourself. And so my challenge to you is this, and really it's a challenge for me that I just am sharing with you. Examine your heart. Examine your heart this week and ask God for the strength and ask God for the ability to just love people. Number one, like he loves people, but especially number two, love people like we love ourselves and spread that kind of love to people. Ask God not just to give us the ability to tolerate and to stand other people, but rather this true, genuine love for other people. Because if we have that, we're going to be able to share the gospel and become more like Jesus and share Jesus with people. And that's the kind of church and community that we want to be. So I hope that helped, and I hope that was encouraging. If you have any questions about anything that we've talked about, feel free to reach out here at Crossroads, because we are here for you, we love you, and we want to do life with you. With that being said, I'll leave you, and I hope I see you soon.